show off. Well, that's not something you want to hear Jesus say about your prayers. Jesus said, don't show off, pray. Good morning, and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy-to-remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Matthew 6, verses 5 through 8, and we'll be reading today from the New Living Translation, where Jesus said, when you pray, don't be like the hypocrites who love to pray publicly on street corners and in the synagogues where everyone can see them. I tell you the truth, that is all the reward they will ever get. But when you pray, go away by yourself, shut the door behind you, and pray to your Father in private. Then your Father, who sees everything, will reward you. When you pray, don't babble on and on, as the Gentiles do. They think their prayers are answered merely by repeating their words again and again. Don't be like them, for your Father knows exactly what you need, even before you ask Him. Now, as we unpack this morning, this is part of what we call the Sermon on the Mount. The Great Sermon is what it really means. It's a long series of teachings that Jesus gave. And right after this, in verse 9 of Matthew 6, Jesus shares what we call the Lord's Prayer, be more accurately called the Disciples' Prayer. And he tells us to pray like this and then gives us the model prayer. But this Jesus said, don't show off, pray, is the setup for that model prayer. Before giving the example of what the content of our prayers should be, Jesus deals with some heart issues. Don't show off, pray. He said, don't be like the hypocrites who pray to be seen. Now, does that mean to pray or to never pray in public? Well, I don't think so. I mean, we had a public prayer time this morning here at the coffee shop. But it's not about never praying in public. It's about our motives and humility. And there's some proof that we should pray in public. Lots of places say that. In 1 Timothy 2:8, Paul says, so I want men to pray in every place, lifting up holy hands without anger or dispute. An extended translation of that means without anger or skeptical criticism. Well, prayer isn't about being seen or heard. It's not like saying the Pledge of Allegiance so everyone knows what you stand for. It's about a relationship. It's not a show or a ritual. And we see early in Acts, the early church praying in the temple publicly, but also praying privately. And we see Paul giving other instructions as well about how our public presentation to others should be. And remember, without anger or skeptical criticism, we should be praying with the right motives. And one of those motives, not to show off, also we can think of where Jesus said, don't babble on like the Gentiles. Well, Paul said in 1 Corinthians 14:23, he said, even so, if unbelievers or people who don't understand these things come into your church meeting and hear everyone speaking in an unknown language, they will think you are crazy. Now, that's not a good thing. It's not a badge of honor to babble on and on in ways that others can't understand. The motive behind what we are doing is more important than actually what we are doing. And Jesus is telling us when to pray, where to pray, and why to pray. Well, when, he says always. Where? Well, it's both public and private. Jesus said to pray in private, closing the door, praying in secret. But it's also about having a consistent time and place for prayer. What's most important is always on your calendar. Why? Well, because that's where our priorities are. And then last, Jesus says in what we read today, don't babble on like the Gentiles do. They think about repeating the same thing over and over and think that that's what it's about and that's what will get their prayers answered. But prayer isn't about showing off or saying a lot or saying the exact right things. Prayer is a conversation. It's a relationship that changes us, not God. And that change should be humility and selflessness. It's about God. And as we put our focus on God, it becomes about others too. It's not all about me. It's not all about you. Our Father, Jesus taught us to pray. Give us. Why plural? Because prayer is not about focusing on self. It's about denying ourselves. So why do we pray? To be seen or to be heard by others? That's the wrong motive. Jesus said, don't show off, pray. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really does mean a lot to me when you like it, when you share it, when you comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.